Lila's Forest Quest. In the heart of the enchanting forest of Everwhirl, where the trees whispered ancient secrets and the wind sang lullabies, lived a young girl named Lila. Lila was known throughout the village for her boundless curiosity and bright, twinkling eyes that mirrored the starlit sky above her quaint wooden home. Lila's best friend was a small, talkative parrot named Pip, who had feathers as colorful as the blooming flowers that carpeted the forest floor. Pip was no ordinary bird. He had the rare ability to mimic not just sounds but also magic spells he had accidentally overheard from the wandering wizards who frequented the woods. One sunny morning, Lila and Pip were playing near the Whispering Willows, a group of ancient trees that stood at the edge of their village. These willows were said to possess the knowledge of the forest, whispered only to those who listened carefully. As Lila leaned against the gnarled trunk of the eldest willow, she heard a faint, melodic whisper. The willow was speaking. "Seek the crystal of Marindor," murmured the willow, its voice as soft as the rustling leaves. "It holds the power to bring laughter and joy back to the heart of the forest, which has been silent for too long." Lila, excited and eager, knew this was the beginning of a new adventure. She hurried home, her mind racing with thoughts of the crystal. What could it look like? Where might it be hidden? She knew she needed to find it. After packing a small bag with essentials, some bread, cheese, a sturdy rope, and a map of the surrounding areas, Lila set off with Pip perched on her shoulder. Her parents trusted her judgment, knowing that Lila had an innate sense of direction and a knack for solving mysteries that puzzled even the wisest elders. As they left the village, the duo crossed the Pebble Brook, which giggled under their feet as they stepped on the smooth stones. They ventured into the deeper parts of the forest, where the light dimmed and the path became a tangled web of roots and moss. Their first stop was at the home of Old Man Cedar, a tree so large and old that his roots formed natural benches and his branches were thick enough to serve as bridges for squirrels. Old Man Cedar was known to be grumpy, but he was wise and knew much about the secrets of the forest. "Old Man Cedar," called out Lila, her voice steady but respectful. "We seek the crystal of Marindor. Do you know where we might start our search?" The old tree grumbled, his bark creaking as if stretching from a long nap. "Why should I tell you, young sprout?" he asked in a deep, rumbling voice. Lila didn't falter. "Because," she said, looking up into his naughty eyes, "the forest needs its joy again, and I believe I can help. With your wisdom, maybe we can find the crystal together." Impressed by her courage and sincerity, Old Man Cedar sighed, his leaves shuffling like a deck of cards. "Very well," he conceded. "The journey you seek begins at the Cave of Echoes, beyond the Hill of the Moonlit Shadows. But be wary, little one, the path is fraught with challenges." Thanking Old Man Cedar, Lila and Pip continued their journey, hearts full of hope and minds brimming with excitement. As the shadows grew longer and the forest deeper, they knew they were on the brink of discovering something wonderful. As Lila and Pip ventured deeper into the forest, the trees grew taller, and the air became filled with the faint scent of mystic pine and unknown blooms. The sun's rays barely pierced through the dense canopy above, casting a magical, dappled light on their path. Every step they took was accompanied by the soft whisper of leaves and the occasional chirp of a distant bird. The duo's journey towards the Cave of Echoes was not just a physical trek, but also a test of their bravery and wits. As they approached the Hill of the Moonlit Shadows, so named for its eerie glow during the full moon, they encountered their first challenge. A wide river, known to the locals as the Murmuring Mirth, lay before them. It flowed fast and deep, its waters glistening with reflections of the moon and stars. Standing on the bank, Lila pulled out her map, studying it under the light of her lantern. "It looks like we need to cross here to continue towards the cave," she said to Pip, who nodded in agreement, his feathers ruffling in the cool night air. Just as Lila was about to step forward, a soft voice emerged from the river. "Who wishes to cross the murmuring mirth?" it asked, gentle yet resonant. Startled, Lila looked around, spotting a figure emerging from the shimmering water. It was a water nymph, her hair flowing like the river currents, her eyes as deep and mysterious as the water itself. "We wish to cross," Lila replied confidently. "We seek the Cave of Echoes to find the crystal of Marindor and bring joy back to the forest." The nymph smiled, her gaze thoughtful. "Many have tried to cross for lesser reasons. I will let you pass, but only if you can answer my riddle," she proposed, the moonlight catching on the surface of the water around her, creating a glowing aura. Lila nodded, ready to accept the challenge. "Please tell us your riddle." The nymph's voice flowed like the water. "I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with wind. What am I?" Lila thought carefully, her brow furrowed in concentration. Pip, ever the quick thinker, chirped softly in her ear, mimicking the sound of a familiar noise. Lila's face lit up with realization, and she turned to the nymph with a smile. "The answer is an echo." "Correct." The nymph clapped softly, and the river before them calmed, forming a clear path of stepping stones across. "Proceed with wisdom and courage." Thanking the nymph, Lila and Pip crossed the river, their hearts light with the success of solving the riddle. As they reached the other side, the landscape changed, becoming steeper and shadowier. They were now entering the territory of the moonlit shadows, a place where the light played tricks and creatures of the night roamed freely. Undeterred, Lila led the way, her lantern casting long shadows behind them. The path was rough, strewn with rocks and roots, making their progress slow. Yet, with each step, they drew closer to the Cave of Echoes, their spirits bolstered by the thought of the adventure that lay ahead and the magic that was soon to unfold. As Lila and Pip made their way up the steep, twisting path of the hill of moonlit shadows, the night seemed to deepen around them. The forest was alive with the sounds of nocturnal creatures. Owls hooted softly from the treetops, and somewhere in the distance a fox called to its mate. The air was crisp, and each breath seemed to fill them with the energy of the enchanted woods. Before long, the path led them to a dense thicket covered in thick brambles and vines. The way through seemed impassable, but Lila, determined as ever, refused to turn back. She rummaged through her backpack and pulled out the sturdy rope she had packed. With a deft throw, she looped it around a tall, sturdy tree branch and tied it securely. "Hold on to me, Pip," she instructed, and with the parrot clinging to her shoulder, she began to climb over the tangled mass. It was tough going, the thorns scratching at her arms and legs, but Lila's resolve didn't waver. Finally, they reached the other side, a little worse for wear, but triumphant. Pip chirped encouragingly, fluffing his feathers against the chill of the night. As they continued, the forest began to open up, and the thick trees gave way to a clearing bathed in moonlight. In the center of the clearing stood an ancient stone statue of a fox, its features worn by time, but its eyes seemingly alive, shimmering with a strange light. As they approached, the eyes glowed brighter, and the air around them thrummed with magic. "Who dares to walk the paths of the ancient guardians?" a voice boomed, seeming to come from the statue itself. Lila stepped forward, her courage bolstering her voice. "I am Lila, and this is Pip. We seek the Cave of Echoes to find the crystal of Marindor," she declared. The statue's eyes dimmed slightly, then brightened again as if assessing her truthfulness. "Many have sought the crystal, few have succeeded," the statue spoke again. "If you wish to continue, you must prove your worth. You will face 3 trials, one of strength, one of cunning, and one of heart. Pass them, and the way will be open. Lila nodded, ready to accept whatever challenge was necessary to complete her quest. The first trial came quickly. A heavy stone rolled into the clearing as large as Lila herself. Show your strength by moving this stone from shadow to light, the statue instructed. Though the task seemed daunting, Lila did not hesitate. She positioned herself by the stone, setting her feet firmly on the ground. With a deep breath, she pushed with all her might. Slowly the stone began to move, inching its way toward the edge of the moonlight. Pip fluttered about, cheering her on, and finally, with one great heave, Lila pushed the stone into the light. The statue nodded approvingly. The second trial was one of cunning. "Solve this," the statue commanded, and the ground before Lila lit up with symbols and patterns, a puzzle that needed to be stepped in the correct sequence to reach the other side of the clearing. Lila studied the patterns, her mind racing. Pip, from his higher vantage point, chirped out what he saw from above. Together, they figured out the safe path, and Lila stepped carefully from one symbol to the next, her movements precise. When she reached the other side, she let out a relieved sigh. The eyes of the statue glowed warmly. The final trial, the trial of heart, was unexpected. The air shimmered and a ghostly image of an old woman appeared, her expression sad and weary. "Help me," she pleaded, holding out a hand. "I am lost and cannot find my way home." Lila approached, her heart full of compassion. "I will help you," she said gently, reaching out to take the old woman's hand. The moment she touched the apparition, it dissolved into light, and a warm feeling spread through Lila's chest. "You have shown great strength, cunning, and compassion," the statue announced, its voice now soft and kind. "The path to the cave of echoes is open to you." As the ground trembled slightly, a pathway lit by glowing stones emerged, leading towards a dark opening in the side of the hill, the entrance to the cave of echoes. Lila and Pip, their spirits lifted by their successes, hurried along the path, eager to find the crystal. Inside the cave, the air was cool and damp, and the echo of their footsteps followed them as they ventured deeper. Stalactites and stalagmites glittered like jewels in the light of Lila's lantern, creating a world of shadows and light. The deeper they went, the more the sense of magic intensified. Finally, they reached a large chamber where the walls were lined with crystals of every color and size. In the center of the room stood a pedestal, and atop it, glowing with an inner light, was the crystal of Marindor. Its beauty was breathtaking, and its magic palpable even from a distance. But as they approached, a figure stepped out of the shadows, a gnome with a mischievous grin and eyes that twinkled with secrets. "So, you've come for the crystal," he said, his voice echoing around the chamber. "But are you ready to take it? And do you understand its true cost?" Lila paused, realizing that the final part of her journey might be the most challenging yet. With Pip by her side, she prepared to face the gnome and claim the crystal, her determination unwavering. The gnome's presence in the Cave of Echoes added an unexpected twist to Lila's quest. His small stature belied his significance in guarding the crystal of Marindor. His eyes, sparkling with a mixture of mischief and wisdom, watched Lila carefully as she approached. "Before you can claim the crystal, you must understand its true nature and prove that your intentions are pure," the gnome declared, his voice resonating off the crystal-lined walls. Lila nodded, her resolve firm. "I'm here to restore joy to the forest. I believe the crystal can help. Please tell me what I must do." The gnome smiled, his expression softening. "Very well. The crystal holds great power, but it can only be wielded by someone with a true connection to the heart of the forest. To prove your connection, you must pass 3 challenges I set for you." The first challenge was a trial of knowledge. The gnome presented Lila with a series of ancient runes carved into the stone wall of the cave. These runes tell the history of our forest. Decode their meaning and demonstrate your understanding of this land and its creatures. Lila studied the runes, tracing their lines with her fingers. Each symbol represented a different aspect of the forest's history, from the first sprouting of the elder trees to the recent silence that had fallen over the woodland. With Pip's help, who recalled the songs and stories he had heard from the wandering wizards, Lila pieced together the narrative. She turned to the gnome and recounted the tales encoded in the runes, speaking of the ancient agreements between humans and the forest spirits and the times of turmoil and peace. The gnome listened intently, nodding with satisfaction as she demonstrated her deep connection to the forest. Next, the gnome led them to a deeper part of the cave, where the air was thick with mist. "This is the trial of courage," he said, pointing to a narrow ledge that skirted a deep chasm. "Retrieve the feather of the phoenix from the nest on the far side." The path was precarious, and the drop into the abyss was dizzying. Lila took a deep breath, focusing on the task. Carefully, she edged along the ledge, her hands steady and her steps sure. Pip flew ahead, scouting the path and offering encouragement. Reaching the nest, Lila found the phoenix feather, alight with a soft, fiery glow. She grasped it gently and made her way back, her heart pounding but her spirit undaunted. The gnome watched her return, his nod acknowledging her bravery. The final challenge was the trial of heart. The gnome conjured an illusion of the forest under threat, trees wilting, animals fleeing, and darkness spreading. "Show me how you would save the forest," he challenged. Lila closed her eyes, reaching out with her senses to feel the pulse of the forest. She called upon the knowledge of the runes, the courage she had shown, and her innate connection to the land. Speaking softly, she invoked the healing magic she believed the crystal could amplify. As she spoke, her words filled with power and light. The scene shifted. The trees regained their vigor, the animals returned, and the darkness receded. The gnome watched, a tear glimmering in his eye, as Lila's heartfelt connection to the forest manifested before them. Satisfied, the gnome stepped back, gesturing towards the crystal of Marindor. "You have proven your worth, Lila. The crystal is yours to claim, but remember, its power must be used wisely and always in harmony with the forest." Lila approached the pedestal and lifted the crystal. It pulsed with warm, radiant energy, its light reflecting in her eyes. She felt a surge of joy and hope, a connection so profound it seemed to echo through the very roots of the forest. With the crystal secured, Lila and Pip made their way back through the cave, their hearts light and their steps quick with the excitement of returning home. The journey back was less fraught, as if the forest itself recognized the return of its champion. As they emerged from the Cave of Echoes, the first light of dawn was cresting the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. The air was fresh, filled with the sounds of waking birds and rustling leaves, a chorus of life renewed. Lila held the crystal aloft, and as the sunlight touched its surface, a wave of warmth spread throughout the forest. The trees swayed as if in gratitude, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of blooming flowers. The magic of the crystal was already at work, restoring joy and laughter to the heart of the forest. Word of Lila's success spread quickly. Villagers, forest creatures, and even the wandering wizards gathered to celebrate. The air was filled with music, laughter, and stories of her brave journey. Lila, humble as ever, shared the spotlight with Pip, praising his loyalty and bravery. The king of the forest, an ancient oak named Elderbranch, declared a feast in her honor. As the community gathered around, Lila felt a deep sense of belonging and purpose. She knew that her adventure was just the beginning of her lifelong commitment to caring for the forest and its inhabitants. With the crystal of Marindor now in her safe keeping, Lila promised to protect it and use its power wisely. She envisioned a future where the forest and its people lived in harmony, a dream that she was now empowered to realize. As the festivities continued into the evening, Lila stood beside Elder Branch, looking out over the joyful scene. Her heart was full and she felt deeply connected to every leaf, every breeze, and every life in Everwhirl. "Thank you," she whispered to the forest, to Pip, and to the adventures yet to come, for everything. And with that, the sun set on a day of celebration, marking the beginning of a new chapter in the story of Lila, the guardian of the crystal of Marindor. As the celebration wound down and the last of the lanterns flickered out under the starlit sky, Lila found herself sitting on a moss-covered log beside Elder Branch. The ancient oak's deep, rumbling voice echoed softly around them, filling the cool night air with wisdom and comfort. "You have done well, young guardian," Elder Branch spoke, his leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. "The forest feels alive again, its heart beating strong thanks to your courage and the magic of the crystal of Marindor." Lila nodded, her eyes reflecting the twinkling stars. "I feel a deep connection to everything here," she replied. "It's as if the forest speaks through me now." Elder Branch chuckled, a sound like wind through dry leaves. "That is because you listened, Lila. You listened to the stories, the whispers of the trees, and the needs of those who dwell here. The forest chose well in trusting you with its heart." Feeling the weight of her responsibilities, yet buoyed by the trust and support of the forest, Lila stood, stretching her legs. Pip fluttered down onto her shoulder, nuzzling against her cheek affectionately. "What comes next, Elder Branch? How do I ensure the forest remains safe and joyful?" "The crystal of Marindor is powerful, but its strength lies in your hands," the oak explained. "Use it to maintain the balance, heal the wounded, and protect the innocent. Gather knowledge, seek wisdom, and above all, stay true to your heart." Lila took a deep breath, absorbing his words. "I will," she promised, "and I'll always be here, ready to defend and nurture." As dawn approached, the first rays of sunlight filtered through the trees, casting golden beams across the forest floor. Lila felt the crystal warm in her pocket, a reminder of her journey and the tasks ahead. With Pip still by her side, she walked through the village, greeting the early risers and sharing smiles with those she passed. In the weeks that followed, Lila used the crystal to help rejuvenate areas of the forest that had been long neglected. She learned to channel its power to revitalize the soil, help plants grow, and cleanse the water. Each task brought her closer to the land and deepened her understanding of the delicate balance of nature. Pip, ever her faithful companion, aided her by spreading the news of her endeavors, rallying the animals and birds to support her efforts. Together they became a well-known duo, guardians of the forest's well-being. One day, as Lila was tending to a grove of wilting saplings near the edge of the forest, she encountered a group of lost travelers. Weary and frightened, using the crystal, she not only guided them safely out of the forest, but also healed their ailments with its magic. Grateful, they promised to speak of her kindness and the sanctuary the forest offered. These acts of kindness and protection did not go unnoticed. Other beings of the forest, from the tiniest insects to the mightiest trees, began to assist Lila in her guardianship. They offered their wisdom, their strength, and their support, creating a community united by respect and mutual care. Months turned into seasons, and Lila's reputation grew. Stories of the guardian of the crystal of Marindor spread far and wide, attracting visitors from distant lands. Some came seeking healing, others knowledge, and many just to see the guardian and her enchanted forest. Lila welcomed them with open arms, teaching them about the importance of conservation and respect for nature. Her lessons helped spread the values of harmony and ecological awareness, inspiring others to take up the cause in their own lands. Elder Branch watched over her, proud of the young guardian's accomplishments. You have not only restored joy to the forest, Lila, but you have also ignited hope in the hearts of many beyond our borders, he told her one crisp autumn evening as they watched the sunset paint the sky in hues of orange and purple. Lila smiled, her heart full. It's more than I ever dreamed of, she admitted, but there's still so much to do, so much to learn. And you will, Elder Branch assured her, for a true guardian's journey is never truly complete. It evolves, grows, and attipires just as the forest does. As the stars began to dot the sky, Lila felt a profound sense of peace and purpose. The forest hummed around her, alive with energy and song. She knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, she and Pip would face them together, with the support of the forest and the power of the crystal of Marindor. The story of Lila, the guardian of the crystal of Marindor, became a tale told around campfires and during festivals. It was a story of bravery, compassion, and the enduring bond between a guardian and her forest. And as long as the stars shone down upon the lush canopy of Everwhirl, Lila's adventures continued, each one a testament to her love for the forest and her commitment to protecting its magic for generations to come. The end is just another beginning, Lila would often say, her eyes twinkling with the promise of new adventures, much like the first day she set out to find the crystal. And in every whisper of the wind, in every rustle of the leaves, her story echoed, timeless and inspiring.